Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening for our Techractive event. Really excited to see all of you here for our last event of the year. So today will be a fun-filled hour. We are talking about the trends for customer loyalty programs in 2022. So before we head right into this event, right, just wanted to give like an introduction of who we are and what we're doing here. So we are Techractive. We are essentially a bunch of geeks, right, from everywhere, not just from Accenture, who are interested in technology, and we're interested in to see how the upcoming technology trends can reshape life. So essentially, here we are. I believe that all of you are like a community of tech people who are working in tech, or people who may be interested in tech and digital, and we'd like to see also like we bring everyone together to discuss like important topics and trends in the tech community, and also we would like to help to guide like pass our knowledge, right, of what we have gained in this industry to young technologists, so they can remain competitive and as this market continuously shift to towards new trend. Yeah. So if you would like to find out more information about Techractive, right, feel free to go over to our website, techractive.com, and to follow up on our monthly events and also like our latest news. So without further ado, right, just give also a bit of introduction of myself. I'm Fabian. I'm working in Accenture Interactive, and I'm the loyalty lead here. And we have also our moderator, Kaushik, from OCBC Bank, and he's the platform lead who is building exciting technology over there. Yeah. So let's jump over to kind of introduce our speakers for today. So we today, right? We today we're talking about the trends for the loyalty programs, and for myself, right? In Accenture, we kind of build like the loyalty programs for major companies like retail companies, like we essentially think about like the strategy of what kind of loyalty programs that is suited for a company, and then we go into the build phase where we really go into building like the online loyalty program, the offline loyalty programs, and we help to deliver the loyalty programs you see out there in the market. Yeah. So our speakers today, CP, Cheng Peng, and Clement, they are really experts in this field. And you see a bit of the pictures of them over here, which let them do a bit of the personal introduction. So why not, CP? Why not let's give a short introduction about yourself.
All right, thanks, Fabian. Hello, everyone. And my name is CP. So I always say I started since day one of my career. I started in a loyalty company called AMIA. So has been doing this nothing but loyalty program for the last 20 years, and I have a pretty miserable life, and all I know is counting points and counting whiskey bottles. That's why you can see my backgrounds. I collect whiskey on the side as well. That's the only two things I know. So very glad to have the opportunity here to discuss the trends with everyone for the industry. Clement?
Yeah. Hey guys, and thanks for having us on this call. I think in the earlier picture you saw try to balance out a little bit of CP's whiskey drinking ways with more healthy habits on my side. I outside of work I spend a lot of time cycling, but I think of late I've got a 5-week-old daughter now, so that's my new hobby and my new life. Yeah, I think similar to CP, right? I've also spent some time in a loyalty agency, AMIA, and I think just looking back and reflecting on the career so far, I think it's like what people say, right? Like you fall in love by chance and you stay in love by choice, and I think that's the same for loyalty. Nobody comes out of school thinking like, hey, you know what? I want to be a loyalty manager. I want to go and do loyalty programs, right? Nobody really does that. And so I think by and large, a lot of people step into loyalty by choice, and thankfully, after quite a number of years in the practice, many of our colleagues are still around, still doing this. So it's good to see that a lot of people have chosen to stick in the loyalty space because it's super interesting.
And it's taking a lot of traction as well, right, in the industry right now.
It has. I think, and I think tech has loyalty has a lot to thank for in terms of the adoption of tech and digital.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks for the introduction, CP Clement. So there is a Q&A www.menti.com. If we're going to transition into our fireside chat. But of course, if you have any questions or any burning things that you have, we have catered for 10 minutes for all of the questions. We will try to have CP and Clement answer them, all of them. And why not, Kaushik? Let's start with our fireside chat. Yeah.
All right, let's do that, right? So I think the first topic, right, is quite interesting. The topic is about, paid loyalty versus free loyalty, right? So if you look at one side where there is Amazon Prime, Lazada, which do have paid loyalty. If you guys recall, sometime back when Lazada introduced the up thing, right? Like it was probably the first kind of, paid loyalty in Singapore. I think everyone was going crazy around it. You pay a certain amount of money and then everything is free for delivery. You could literally order like $10 USB cables on it. It would be delivered free, right? And everyone was on Lazada, right? Everyone buying things over there. And it kind of changed how we looked at e-commerce, right? Especially in Singapore. Then there is this whole bunch of other brands, right? We're like Marriott, Chop, right? And then there's various banks and their points and what kind of offers and rewards, right? Grab actually doing both, right? Combination of both paid membership, non-paid membership. So maybe CP for you to start with, right? Where do you think this is going, right? Is there a sweet spot for business to kind of see, is it paid loyalty? Should I go with free loyalty? Is there an easier answer to it, or is it all complex? Why don't you have some thoughts?
Sure.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's indeed it's a very hot topic, and it's literally because of Amazon. And once Prime came out, and the whole topic become really, really popular in the market. And in the last few years, I have quite a couple of clients coming to us and looking to design a paid loyalty program. And there's a couple of principles we follow in terms of advising the clients. It's not the first thing is it's not for everyone. And one classic example, there is an Australia-based and low price drugstore chain, and coming to us planning to do a paid loyalty program. And we spent quite a lot of time helping them building the business case, and very soon you're getting into that, you realize the business case will never stack up. And there's something unique about Amazon, and is really that is the upsell potential is unlimited because there's always more things to buy in the Amazon. When a consumer enter into a paid loyalty program, they will have done their math. Well, they will make money for sure. That's why they join the program. And as a brand, and when you offer that program to your consumers, what you are planning is the percentage of customers who join that will actually spend more, and to actually cover the expenses of the vast majority customer who join, which they will be in a better position before you launch this program. So for like a low cost drugstore, when their margin is low, and there's much you can buy from a drugstore. Nobody go to, in Singapore's context, nobody's go to Guardian and just stock up things for nothing. So for those industries with limited upsell potential, and then the paid loyalty program will be very, very difficult, and from a financial perspective. The other factor is also industry margin. And you can't offer a paid loyalty program. I guess online e-commerce business sometimes is always easier. There's more things to play around with. There's delivery costs and all these, right? And for a brick and mortar store, you can't offer a paid loyalty program with like 2% discount. The consumer wouldn't look at it. You need to start a minimum, let's say a 5% discount, and with some additional benefits. And the 5% discount is expensive, and for most of the business. And most of the loyalty program, if you look at a few retailer and the convenience retailer, they runs probably maximum 1 to 1.5% program. Supermarket runs a 0.5 to 1% program. And 5% program is not something most of the business won't be able to afford to do. And but if you do below that, it's not meaningful for customer to participate. So there is so that's why it's very industry specific, and it's only few industries potentially can make sense. The example Kaushik mentioned and Up, and when the Lazada program, it was exciting in the market when we just launched. Look at it. Uber was in, Redma was in, and everything you look at it is everything you will really use. And so it was interesting. Clement and I were actually during that time we were in the same company. We're talking about that program. We just figured, how does the math work? Because the amount of benefit they're giving out, that is just, and from a pure loyalty financial modeling perspective, we can't figure out how it works. But one thing at that point in time, that's a very unique industry because we are applying the thinking from a traditional retail business. You need to be responsible, you need to make money, you need to pay for margin. But for Up, when they were there, you look at the business, Lazada, Uber, and all these, it's 100% digital startups, and none of these businesses are profitable. And so it's all of these businesses are in the growth mindset. So they don't mind losing margin to build a base. So that if you're in that situation, possible, it can be done, as long as you can get sufficient funding. So that's a couple of key kind of observations you need to see when we look at a paid loyalty program.
So kind of having a growth mindset, you already have a lot of probably financial backing as well, somewhere around that line, right?
It's expensive. Yeah. It's going to be expensive.
Okay, sounds good. Clement, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think CP is obviously right about the assessment on paid programs. I think the one thing to also call out is while it is very expensive, and it is, right, actually there are very few large scale loyalty schemes that are not expensive to set up, right? Even if you're talking about a points program, and CP mentioned earlier, right, the other end of the spectrum is if you can't afford your 5% or more margins, then what you end up doing is giving away your 0.5, your 1% type of margins in the form of things like points. And so it's all quite expensive. I think the upside of doing of launching a subscription type program is a lot of the business casing is already done up front, and you almost instantly know whether you can afford it or you can't, right? So that there's a little bit more certainty in that sense. Whereas I think if you move ahead and you choose to launch a points program, you're pretty much agreeing to sink this much in points that you're issuing in terms of propping up the generosity and the top line value proposition. And the truth is you're not sure when that will come back, right? So I think then a lot more thinking needs to go into the structuring and the design of that loyalty scheme. I think the other thing to call out also, and CP did allude to it, is it also really depends on the type of category and the sector that you're in, and whether your business has the right type of assets to tap on, right? There are certain assets where it costs, there is an incremental cost to you offering that benefit, and there are some assets where it's fairly scalable, and the cost doesn't scale equally, right? And I think that plays a very big influencing factor in which type of scheme to go for as well.
Correct. And probably there are places where you're looking at like free delivery kind of thing from Lazada versus probably there is a membership which gives you 2x points, 3x points, something around that line, which is probably something still under your domain and you can control, right, in a way. Yeah. Do you see those kind of patterns as well happening in the industry? Like when you start looking at assets which I can control, right? Is there such kind of things happening, CP or Clement?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So let me. This is actually not new. So let me give you an extreme example: assets that you can control. And so that's actually, these things happens even before the Amazon Prime. And some of you might recall those like paid hotel membership program. So it's different from the points program that Marriott offers, and you can basically pay, let's say, $300 a year. You get 1-for-1 dining, and then maybe 2 nights of stay. So there's a lot of programs package those hotel assets and into a paid program, and pay $300. If you go to the restaurant 3-4 times a year, you make that $300 back. So if you use those services, it makes perfect sense. And so those are actually how this program comes about. I used to work for a loyalty company that designed those programs. And these are all about leveraging our spare capacity. And if the hotel have all their restaurants fully booked, they will never launch this program. But if their hotel rooms loading at 70%, they always have free rooms available. The restaurant generally is not full. And then it's about packaging the spare capacity to them, zero cost. And it's pure incremental profit for minimal incremental costs. So those things make sense. And these are the inventories you can control. So leverage on spare inventory to fund those programs. But it's unique, very unique to hospitality industry. I see some of the airlines that start to piloting some of these concepts. Of course, now COVID hits, all these stops. But there's a couple of industries have spare capacity. You can play this game.
Okay, very interesting. Sweet upgrades, right? End of the day, yeah.
I think one more thing just to add to that, and absolutely right. I think the hospitality industry does this very well. Mostly because there is also that very big gap in the perceived value, right? The perceived value of one room night, the perceived value of one flight ticket versus the actual cost to serve. So I could offer you something, whether it is for redemption or whether as part of a subscription package. And the truth is my cost to serve is very low, whereas the value that the end customer gets is very, very high. So and that's sort of the sweet spot lah.
Cool. Okay, that's a lot of interesting inputs. Thanks for that. Going to the next topic, right? And this is a bit more interesting and very trending, right? So I think nowadays, whenever you talk with loyalty, right, there will be someone always talking about this blockchain in loyalty, right? It's a damn hot topic, right? I think many years back, at least a couple of years back, I know IBM was actually building something on the whole, the blockchain in loyalty. There were some concepts they did. There was a white paper around, a lot of buzz around it. And then a couple of weeks back, I was just logging into CoinHacko, which probably some of you guys use for your cryptos. So you'd see every time you log in now, they actually gives you some kind of crypto coins as a point. So no more virtual points. You are actually getting crypto coins as part of your login. And then you can actually convert those crypto coins into other Ethereum cryptos, right? Like any of those sub-Ethereum kind of cryptos. So super interesting, right, where this was coming. And then when I was also talking with some of the businesses before, there was this whole loyalty collation system, right, where you kind of build a universal loyalty point, right? And I'm sure CP has a lot of ideas around this. So just want to start with maybe again CP, right? To start with, like, where do you think this whole thing is going? Is it just a trend word? Is there the industry going somewhere? Do you see something happening very soon? Yeah.
Sure. So this is actually, I put it this way, it comes in waves. And the first wave of blockchain for loyalty happens when all the ICOs are hitting the market. That's probably 3-4 years ago. I'm sure everybody remember the time that every 2 weeks there's a new coin being created. And so during that period, I think that what's happening in the market is that everybody wants to launch a new coin, but there is no use case. And naturally, by enabling that coin, attach that to a loyalty program, and suddenly it has a use case. It's better than nothing. But that wave lasted probably for 6 to 12 months, and it died down completely because fundamentally at that time there is no use case to use blockchain technology to do loyalty program. And the coin, the cryptocurrency coin, is no different from the normal points at that point of time, 3-4 years ago. And then, so that trend has died down, and still today didn't really, those things didn't really kind of like happen. There's nothing major there. There's no major loyalty program runs on that premise. But then about 2-3 years ago, the second wave started to come. And for those in the region, you can see Asia Miles, Hong Kong, Cathay Pacific Asia Miles. I think Asia Miles launched a blockchain-based loyalty wallet. And similarly, Singapore, basically, KrisFlyer launched Kris Plus. And they are piloting using blockchain to technology, less so of the cryptocurrency. They're just really trying to build their loyalty technology on blockchain. And for airline programs, and its functions very similar, close to a collation, and especially Asia Miles is a very mature collation program in Hong Kong. There is multiple party can all the retailers can issue Asia Miles, and you can use points to redeem for non-flight items. And I guess that the longer term intention is really and fulfill the true promise of blockchain being a very open network of points exchange. Anyone can plug in to issue points, and anyone can plug in to become a redemption partner. Conceptually, it's a fully open program construct. It's a perfect construct for from a consumer perspective. It's a perfect construct for a coalition loyalty program. However, you can see both Cathay Pacific and the Singapore Airline, and they're piloting it, but didn't really willing to go in a full open way. Currently, your KrisFlyer miles and the KrisPay dollar are separate currency. You can do a one-way conversion. You can only push the KrisFlyer miles into KrisPay, but not vice versa, because you as a loyalty program owner, and there is a big liability. Singapore Airline and Asia Miles still want to actually have a good control of the liability, control of the cost per point. If they completely open up the system, they lose their control. And that's the market willingness. I think it's not there yet. I wouldn't say that's not the future. Potentially, this can be the future. It's just that currently it lacks a sponsor. And also there's a couple of technical fundamental loyalty fundamentals that the current technology is not able to address very well yet. And in the time to come, I think it will. One is industry exclusivity. I mean, Clement is in NTUC. I'm sure if he sponsor a blockchain-based loyalty program, he wouldn't want like Samsung or Cold Storage to suddenly join the program. And so for in the loyalty industry, we have industry exclusivity, especially if you are a big supermarket, like a small supermarket with basically 20 stores want to join. Suddenly they get access to all your basically customer base and earn the same currency. And so the bigger players will not be willing to risk that, to share the database with the kind of the smaller player in the market, and they want exclusivity. So that's the kind of a second more design. It can be addressed by design eventually. And so those are the current basic conceptually makes sense and for a fully open loyalty currency, but who's going to sponsor it? Because the guy who sponsored it will open up their own currency. Generally, it's only the bigger player who can sponsor it, but the bigger player doesn't want to open up their wallet to fund the smaller programs. So I think that's kind of the second wave that's still in piloting stage. But I was talking to the Asia Miles team that they have a very mature mindset of approaching this, because everybody sees that technology is the future. So they are not saying that kind of like, I know what we are doing and there's a perfect use case. The blockchain-based loyalty program is better than the traditional technology. They're quite honest about it. It's not. And we are trying, we are learning, we are exploring, and we want to be actually ahead of the market. We don't want to wait until the market has come out with already fully established blockchain-based loyalty program. Then we go try. It's too late. And sometimes it's also enterprise kind of like transformation, change management. And so they want to be leading that change rather than wait for someone else to prove the concept before they try it. So that's a very, very good mindset of approaching this. So that's the second wave. I think the second wave to me for loyalty is still in piloting phase. But now there's a third wave coming, and there's a public news. So I work for MasterCard, and MasterCard recently just announced basically from a MasterCard payment network, we will be able to accept processing for cryptocurrency. And also we announced basically MasterCard are plugging into 4 cryptocurrency exchange, one in the US, one in Australia, one in Hong Kong, one in Thailand as the first wave. So eventually, any loyalty program running on MasterCard technology, and a customer can choose your currency now. And you can choose your own points, that's fine. But if a customer prefer a specific cryptocurrency, we can enable that exchange, and you can choose any currency of your choice, a cryptocurrency of your choice to earn. So now, because the whole crypto exchange, I mean, the first wave of ICO failed because at that point of time, there's not many mature exchange. And so literally you're betting on a new currency and betting it to increase in value, which most of them don't. But now because the exchange is there, so that even though it's a very similar concept, issue loyalty currency in cryptocurrency, and with the popularity of the exchange, that becoming a lot more viable and getting more and more mainstream. So I think that's the big wave that's coming in nowadays.
Yeah, that's very interesting that they actually will give the user an option to choose what crypto he wants. That's very interesting. I'm just wondering, like, does it becomes more personalizable now, or it's interesting. It opens up a complete different thing. Like if you think of it as a currency, we never thought like, hey, do you pay in Singapore dollar or USD from a loyalty points, right? But now we are like thinking of currency in a different structure. Yeah. Clement, do you want to add anything on top of it?
Yeah, no, there are a couple of things I wanted to say, but I think CP has already given a very, very comprehensive overview of the current and future landscape. So I'm good.
Okay, so one thing I was also thinking around this, right? I think at least last year, right? One of the problem, I mean, one is a business problem, right? The other tech problem was all these cryptocurrencies was also a bit hard to actually predict where their values are going, right? And there was a lot of fuel cost, right? If you want to buy a Ethereum today, there is a lot of fuel cost on it. And last 1 year, I think a lot of these different cryptos which has come in, like Polygon, for example, then Polkadot, their take is very different. It's not your typical blockchain where you only can mine certain limit. They are pretty expandable in a way. The whole Web 3.0 concepts are coming in over there. I'm super excited. Honestly, I mean, probably we should check back again in 6 months or eight months now, and then have this conversation again, probably just to see where this is going. But definitely, I think there is a lot of traction on it. Super exciting. Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. Fabian, you have some topics, right? Why don't you take it over?
Yeah. So, I realized like CP, Clement, Kaushik, you guys have been really talking about like point-based, a lot of points and reward-based loyalty program, right? Where customers they do some transactions and then they earn points. But then there is also another take of like customer loyalty, where like companies like the likes of Apple and Tesla, they don't have a loyalty program. We don't see you don't buy a Tesla and then you earn 500 points where you can buy a Tesla, where you can upgrade your car screen or what, right? But this company run on another level where it's essentially customer loyalty, right? Where you have like diehard fans like Kaushik or Ike in the audience who just they just won't convert to Android or any other brands regardless of what you sell them. So this is a really like a different take from like the examples which you have rightly given, right? Like the hotel chains and Marriotts who give points for you to stay on every night. So this question just wanted to ask Clement, right? So what's your take between these two types of program? The one is the point-based loyalty program, then the other being like the customer loyalty program.
I think the more pertinent question is a lot of the loyalty schemes that we know of, whether it is a points based, miles based, whatever currency based, or even a subscription program, whether that really led us up into customer loyalty. And I mean, even as a loyalty practitioner for many years, I think the short answer is no. Right? And many of our colleagues, the politically correct answer is that it will. But I think hand on heart, I think the answer is no, right? And I think for very good reason, because I think fundamentally, customers are loyal to a company because they have a good product, right? A loyalty program in and of itself is not a product, right? And I think what people need to realize is, I think where loyalty programs excel and really create that customer stickiness and love is by being a platform to deliver a good product experience, or to allow people to gain access to the assets within that company, right? And I think that's why you've got your hospitality companies, travel, your airlines that do very well in this space, and their loyalty programs are very, very closely linked. So if you travel a lot and you speak fondly of, say, Singapore Airlines, you identify yourself with being a certain tier member, right? Whether it's PPS or KrisFlyer Gold or whatever. And I think that's why, that's why you know you've got your hospitality companies, travel, your airlines that do very well in this space, and their loyalty programs are very, very closely linked. So if you travel a lot and you speak fondly of, say, Singapore Airlines, you identify yourself with being a certain tier member, right? Whether it's PPS or KrisFlyer Gold or whatever. And I think that's because the program is so inherently ingrained with the business and delivering the product, right? Which is in this case air travel experience, right? So I think that's one. I think the other question that we also sort of need to address is, does everyone need a loyalty program? And it's the same question as, does everyone need insurance? And the short answer is no, right? You need a loyalty program when your product in and of itself, it's not that it's bad, is that even if you have a good one, you happen to be in a very, very competitive market, right? And the product, even though it's a good one, requires a certain level of differentiation, because otherwise hotel rooms are hotel rooms, right? Groceries is groceries, right? So I think that's where loyalty programs play a very, very big part in creating that differentiation, right? And I think that's also why, you know, a lot of businesses invest a lot in their schemes, you know, in making the points more attractive, in making the benefits more attractive, the privileges more attractive, in hopes of creating that differentiation, right, versus their competitors. And that's why, you know, in the loyalty space, we talk about this a lot, and we say, hey, you know, can we do a competitive analysis between our program and someone else's program? There's no such thing, like a program doesn't compete against a program, right? The truth is two businesses compete against each other, right? So it doesn't make sense that, let's say in my case, the NTUC link, we do a competitive analysis against KrisFlyer. We're not competing businesses, right? And so I think it really depends on the type of category that you're in, the type of space that you're in, how innovative your business is. And like I said, I think not every business needs a loyalty program. If you have a great product like Tesla and Apple, you don't need to spend money on a program.
Yeah, I think so, right? As it also rightly mentioned, right? It really depends on the industry. We do see a trend in the hotel retail space coming out with loyalty program, and then certain products with like key types, Apple coming out with, you know, no loyalty program, but they go with a different direction. So, you know, coming to this, right? Then CP, I know you do engage with a lot of different clients, and I'm pretty sure that the broad questions that the CEOs might ask is like, do I need a loyalty program, and what kind of loyalty programs do I need? So what are your views on this?
Yeah. So my view has been changing over the years as well. I think the industry is very, very different now. And does loyalty program build loyalty? And we all talk about there's two types. One is the behavior loyalty. One is the emotional loyalty. And if you launch, if you do a 10% program for Starbucks, buy 10 coffee, get one free coffee, it's a very generous program. Buy 10 coffee, get one means like heavy coffee drinkers, every 2 weeks you get a free coffee. That's quite attractive. That encourages behavior loyalty, but that's no different from a discount promotion with a little bit of gamification element in there. But a discount doesn't buy loyalty. Exactly to Clement's point, for a customer to be loyal to you, you need to actually, it's a product game. And so how does a loyalty get into become a product? Rather than just a discount, is that kind of like see how the program. So if you look at, and so there is client that we spoke to before, there's a fashion retailer. So they come to us and looking for a loyalty program, and they say that why not? So we why not you go out and find a list of bars and the restaurants and offer my customer 10-20% discount. We package this together as a loyalty program for my brand. And so our advice to them is this never works, because one key important part for loyalty program to really build loyalty is it has to do with your core customer experience. So in the airline space, you have to get priority boarding, you have to give lounge access. In hotel space, you have to give club floor upgrade, and you have to give a room upgrades. These are related to your core product experience. And the moment your loyalty program touch the core product experience, it becomes part of the product. And then it does build emotional loyalty rather than just pure transactional behavior loyalty. And so the same fashion retailers, the example we give them back to them is that, what's your pain point in your store? Are you able to give priority queue at the cashier for payment? Are you able to give priority queue at a fitting room for your loyal members? If you can do that, yes. Operationally, if you are able to support that, yes. Then your loyalty program does build emotional loyalty with the customers. But if operationally you are not willing to support that and trying to getting those so-called edge benefits has nothing to do with your core experience, no point. So that's one thing about building emotional loyalty and behavior loyalty. And but the second element that's important is this. And basically, for this type of loyalty program, so for this type of loyalty program, it's very important to see that if you look at the likes the likes of Apple and the Tesla, they naturally have a follower. So they have built the emotional loyalty from their core customer base, but it doesn't mean the transaction loyalty is not required, because today's world, there's two type of companies: your e-commerce, your telco, your banks. By definition, you have the data. So sometimes you don't need to have loyalty program. You get the data, and use the data, you can deliver personalization, enhance customer experience. But if you're a brick and mortar store, without a loyalty program, you do not have data for customers. And so there is no way, no scalable way for a brick and mortar store to actually personalize customers' experience and without a loyalty program. So literally the loyalty program itself doesn't build loyalty, but it collects data. What builds loyalty is based on what you do with the data after they're in, and to enhance their experience with your product. So I think that's the two key difference. I think the two key trends I see, and how do you view a points-based program, and how does that build loyalty?
Yeah, CP, like your last point just hits the mark, right? Like loyalty program, essentially, it's always tagged along with something else of a bigger picture, right? We're looking at like whether you're collecting data to personalize other areas of the product. We're looking at enhancing your customer experience, and it's never like, you know, building just a loyalty program and nothing else. No, and also just wanted to add on, right? It's also like, you know, it's really, when building a loyalty program, we sometimes also consider like the complexity of building the loyalty program. Like, for example, like going back to maybe going to Grab, right? Grab itself, you have different divisions, but then when building a reward program, you can build it across like GrabFood, the taxi service and financial service, because it's under one arm. But if we look at maybe companies like P&G, Unilever, who has different products, it might be maybe that could be the nature of the product, which doesn't require a loyalty program, or maybe it's because it's just so segregated, right? That it's just don't make sense to build a loyalty program. So yeah, just different takes on this. And just coming to, you know, today our topic is really about the trends of like customer loyalty program, right? We spoke about like interesting use cases around Asia Miles, where it built a little bit on the blockchain, and we also for Clement, I believe you have built like great loyalty program like the Grab Rewards before in the region, and also you are currently building a NTUC Link program, which I believe everyone.
I wouldn't dare to take all the credit for that.
With your team, yeah. You know, this interesting use cases, right? I think the audience just, you know, want to hear from you and CP on what do you see as a trend? What are kind of the things that you have done before that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I think one interesting thing, and thanks. I think the two companies that I have worked for and currently am working for, I think the one common thing is that they are both ecosystems, right? In the sense that there are multiple business units across, you know, in some cases pretty varying type of categories, right? And I think that's broadly speaking where I think the loyalty space is also moving towards a space of consolidation, right? Which is, you know, I think gone are the days when a customer takes out, you know, 10, 15 credit cards and figure out what's the best way to optimize all the deals that they have. We don't really see that anymore. And I think it's partly because I think, you know, with the onset of a lot of the e-commerce players, you know, and even how that has shaped the competitive landscape when it comes to the brick and mortar players, people are throwing promo codes and rebates and all sorts of offers left, right, and center, right? And I think that there is a lot of fatigue, right? And when it comes to how much a consumer can take on, what cognitive load they can manage, right? And so I think the good thing is a lot of the bigger companies are realizing that the way forward is to consolidate and make life a bit easier for a customer, right? And that comes with, I think, occupying a greater share of mind, and in a more practical sense, occupying a greater share of wallet, right? And I think that's also why you see, you know, with like I said, the bigger ecosystem players, they manage to run a lot of these programs by themselves. Because Grab, for example, has transport, they've got food delivery, they've got financial services, and that already takes up a substantial part of a customer's wallet, right? And so is there a need for them to partner with someone else to expand the ecosystem? Maybe, maybe not, right? Whereas if you are a brick and mortar, say, either F&B chain or retail business, maybe you see the need to partner with someone else, right, to expand this ecosystem and collectively, you know, own a bigger share of the customer's wallet. So I think consolidation for the purposes of simplifying customers' lives, so they don't have to keep making a lot of 100 decisions a day, I think is one of the keys to how you get a customer to stick with you, right? I think end of the day, as a customer, I don't need to know that I'm getting the best deal all the time. I just need to know that I'm not worse off, right? I'm not drawing the short straw, right? I've got a decent deal. Maybe it's the second best one. Good enough for me. I don't have to keep thinking about, I've got better things to think about, right? So I think that's where it's moving towards. I think businesses recognize that there's a need to sort of simplify things for the customer.
Yeah, and I think with with so many apps and people having a shorter span of attention, right? It really is about focusing to get their attention. And you got me to think about your Zodiac coin use case where you launched during the New Year on Grab, where it really got me to go into the Grab app almost on a daily basis. I think that was really an interesting use case that matches what you have mentioned. So, CP, what about your views on the trends on loyalty moving forward?
Cool. Thanks. I think so. Clement mentioned there's a big consolidation happening across the loyalty industry, and just want to expand on that topic a little bit. That's actually even beyond the loyalty industry. And so if we look at, 10, 15 years ago, and this company does loyalty, and which means translate to a points-based program. There's company doing payment, and the likes of MasterCard, Visa, Amex. There's companies doing merchant deals like the Groupons or these. These are all separate business, standalone business. And there is a trend that's happening in the market. So if I take an example in Thailand market, Central Group, which is the largest retailer in Thailand, and they run the largest retail loyalty program in the market across about 16, 17 business units, 17 million members. So they started from a loyalty program alone, which because their strength is a large database with a huge amount of points there. But then they started to add on and merchant deals and across Thailand. And there's a lot of merchants want to basically get access to their 16, 17 million customers. So they volunteer their different deals and on the Central's mobile app. And on top of that, they added a digital wallet for payment. And but if I take a look at another company in Thailand, completely unrelated, Central is a retailer, True has a wallet. True Wallet. True is a telco. True Wallet, which is the largest digital wallet in Thailand. And for digital wallet, the competition, of course, acceptance, and that's the baseline. And for payment to be successful, only acceptance is not going to work for consumers, because that's what consumers already have today. And so naturally, they start to add the merchant deals, they add the loyalty points so that there's incentive for customer to keep using their wallet. And just if you want to complicate things, you take Grab into the mix, and Grab started from a taxi hailing app, now added Grab Pay and added the Grab Rewards, and there's more and more merchant deals on Grab now as well. So you can see one is a retailer, one is a ride-hailing app, one is a telco, and the starting point is completely different. But then if you look at their program today, conceptually are identical. A consolidation of payment, loyalty points, merchant offers. It's a lifestyle super app basically that a customer have to use every 1 or 2 days. That is where the competition is. I guess that there's a few other players that are trying to do the same nowadays. And so loyalty program is no longer a standalone play. It's no longer just about points. And it's everything today is about ecosystem play and how to basically getting more and more utilities, and rather basically competing in a team rather than competing on your own. And nobody can win. And in today's world, is trying to compete on your own. So I think that's coming out quite big. It's not only in Thailand. There is really literally 2 to 3 coalition conversation happening in every single Southeast Asia countries at this moment, looking at very similar strategy nowadays.
Yeah, I'll just expand on that a little bit as well. And I think what CP is also alluding to is, you know, the number of partners and players in the market. You know, the number of such players that own a big share of the customer's wallet. They're only really a handful of them, right? Say maybe for payments that they're a bit more. But if we talk about you know, transport, we talk about petrol, fuel retailers, if we talk about, you know, grocery players, there really only are that many. And I think where we start seeing the landscape moving towards is, you know, people very quickly trying to find their camps, right? And I think it's almost a race, because if in a year or so from now you don't get yourself into one of these partnership deals, it's quite likely that you will be left out in the open. Then the question is, you know, are you strong enough to defend against your partners who, you know, your competitors who now have stronger partners backing them and feeding them customers as well, right? So yeah, I think that's sort of like the softer side, but there's definitely a partnership rush to everyone sort of like band together.
Yeah, just another thought. Guess what? Like, I think we are the winners, end of the day, customers, right? So all the loyalty is coming up, because I just recalled one more thing. If you recall, FabPay would actually use GrabPay, and then you get earn two reward points, right? Like, yeah, this whole complex process of loyalty, right? And those exist, right? So, yeah, cool.
Yeah. And you know, talking about this, like GrabPay, right? Like, I mean, when we first start loyalty program, I always feel as a consumer, I don't know how like companies actually sustain it, right? Because it feels like it's like a loss making business. So, you know, it leads me to one of the questions from the audience. The question is more like, are all loyalty programs loss making? Maybe Clement, you have a view on this?
Yeah. So it really depends on what your definition of loss making is, right? I think broadly speaking, there are sort of 2 models, right? Is one, do you see your loyalty program as an internal cost center, right? In other words, it's an investment in you trying to you know, acquire customers data, trying to retain them, right? In which case, the ROI or the business case built against that is not for the loyalty program in and of itself to make money, right? The business or the group makes money, right? And so the ROI is whether by making an investment in your loyalty program, both in terms of the fixed cost and getting the infrastructure up, as well as the ongoing funding of things like points and benefits, whether that pays off in terms of, say, your revenue uplift, right? That's one model, right? And I think the other type of model is, you know, a lot of people in the loyalty space do talk about this, which is, hey, can we monetize our program, right? And there are many ways you can monetize your program, be it, you know, through the sale of points, using it to power, you know, internal media monetization, so on and so forth, loads of stuff, right? And I think that one is a bit more clear cut, right? Which is the loyalty scheme then gets sort of spun off. Quite a lot of airlines have done that. And I think fun fact is, some of the airlines, after they have spun it off, the loyalty or the frequent flyer program tends to be valued more than the airline itself. So and all that's fairly public, right? But I think once you start moving into that model, and you're down the path of monetizing the program, then yes, what you measure yourself against is how much you are investing in the program, keeping it running, versus what I would call external monetization, right? As opposed to just driving business, and revenue and top line back to your core business, you're seeking external monetization, right? And I'd say that for the second case, because it is a pure, it's pretty cut and dry. It's just a matter of P&L, whether you're making money or not. Unfortunately, I think there are a lot of companies that sort of get it wrong. And when I say get it wrong, either the focus or the path to monetization is maybe not the right one, or they have started on that path a little bit too early, without having built the fundamentals, without really having addressed the internal sort of like customer problems and solving for that first. They move into that a little bit too early. And I think by and large, those are the cases where they risk, being a bit more loss-making, right? So I think by and large, we see those cases where they end up losing money in that sense. Yeah, I don't know if CPS anything to add to that.
Yeah, that's completely agree, Clement. I guess the loyalty monetization conversation started from the airline space, and in the airline space, that's very, very clear, and the value is the value generation of the frequent flyer program, and it's proven, and there's a lot of airlines spin off their frequent flyer program, and the combined valuation of the entire company will go up. The question mark is really, this is not the model and a retailer can follow. So airline and hotel loyalty program, from the data commercialization perspective, is they sell points to the banks, and so you get the cash upfront, and the redemption might happen probably like 6 to 12 months later, and you're only redeeming using your spare capacity. So literally, this cash that the bank pays to buy the air miles are extremely high margin business, which you can't do that in a supermarket. So like Clemens, you can't if like Clemens sell NTUC points to you at 1 cent per point. If you go to redeem, it costs him 1 cent, basically for the supermarket voucher. So the margin on retail currency is completely different. So you can't do data commercialization based on loyalty currency. But what a retailer can do is really the commercialization on data. The richness of, especially supermarkets, with all the suppliers are like very eager to get access to this data, and so you can sell this data. It's become data as a service business. While in the airline travel model is currency, basically profitability from the currency perspective. So although both are core loyalty commercialization, the underlying commercial model and the capability you need to build are completely different. So we have 2 minutes left. Do we have time? Maybe one more question? Or?
Of course, yeah. So one last question. I think 2 minutes. You still can have some hot question. No. The last question is, when is a good time to build a loyalty program for a new business?
Rapid fire.
I'll go with my short answer is do it when you can afford it. I think again, do it when you can afford it, and also sort of build a program that your business needs at the point in time, right? It's two sides to this. I think one is how much do you want to give your customer back? Effectively, there is a running rate of what you give your customer back. That directly impacts your bottom line. And if you do it too soon, before you can afford it, then you start bleeding, right? There's the other aspect of how much do you want to invest in getting it started, right? And sure, there are enterprise solutions. I think CP sells some of them, and that's not for everyone, right? I think if you're a new business and you're still starting out, it's very unlikely that you can afford some of those solutions, and it's no point investing in a Ferrari if you're only going to drive it like a Toyota. No offense to Toyotas, right? But so I think really find the right solution. And there are players out there that offer pretty good scalable solutions for very early stage companies and smaller businesses.
Great. And just to add on to Clement's point and back to the earlier conversation that we had, I think the loyalty program today is depending on your industry as well. And a lot of industries, you build a loyalty program to collect data. And then the question is really, when do you want to start a loyalty program? I think that the real question behind that is, once you collected this data, what are you going to do with that? If you don't even have a plan to basically how to use these data and you haven't invested in that area, then you start a loyalty program just to issue points, and chances are you won't see the return at the beginning, unless your industry, it's a very standard industry, customer will be expecting that. Yes, no brainer. But if you are in the industry that loyalty program is not common, consumer don't expect that, and you don't even have a plan how to use the data collected, then probably not yet think about, if you have the data, what's the use case?
Yeah, and very good point, CP, and I'll add on to that a little bit more is, if at the end of the day, as a smaller business, all you need is to collect members' contact details so you can communicate with them, then maybe all you need is a membership program that collects, it's a mailing list, right? And I think the bigger question that all businesses do need to address is, by getting the customer on board your program, whether it is consenting to giving their data, their comms consent, what are they getting in return? And I think that's what the businesses don't address, right? In a lot of the points-based loyalty programs, it's very clear. What you get in return is points that you can go redeem for stuff, right? But in many other programs, if it's just a membership or mailing list, what are they getting in return? Is it more relevant comms? And that's harder to quantify, right? And very subjective. So I think most businesses need to address that first, which is, what is that value exchange? You're asking your customer to give you something, data, loyalty, spend more with you. What are you going to give them in return?
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
We ran out of time, right?
Yeah, we ran out of time. But I think really thanks CP and Clement for this awesome sharing. I really learned a lot of this, your combined 20-30 years of experience in the industry, just sharing with us in the audience. For us over here, if you guys have any more questions for CP and Clement, feel free to add them on LinkedIn, and let's carry on this conversation. Yeah. So we've come to the end of this session. So feel free to keep a lookout on techractive.com for our future events to come, and we'll resume again next year with more fun-filled events. Yeah. With that, we really thank you for your time, and have a great evening.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.